Okay, so this is the third tutorial in the series, if you will. Again, if you have trouble understanding me, I'm sorry. I know I slur. It's a medical thing. If you want to learn more about it, you can go to the first tutorial, and I think I talk about it in the first couple minutes there. So, what we're going to do in this one, though, is we're going to talk a little bit about, I'm going to show you how to bring in additional layers made by other painters. Um, there's quite a few that have just done great stuff, and I'm gonna name three off the top of my head, and I'm sorry if I missed anybody, but um, Matthew Nethercote, and I apologize if I did your last name wrong, Matthew. Reed Rundell, Tim Brokaw. I mean, and again, there's many others, but those are the three that stand out to me. And if I think of somebody in the middle of this tutorial, we'll talk about it. But if you go to your forums, and we'll just spend a minute here. Go to your general painting forums, and one of Matthew's has already been put up as a sticky up here. You'll see it, and he's got metallic layers for a bunch of different cars. But what we're working on is a Gen 6, and Reed Rundell has some great metallic layers. Now, he doesn't have a sticky up here yet. Yeah, I really think it needs to be combined maybe with Matthews. We do have the Painter's Resource repository, which is always a good place to check for certain things, but it doesn't have the attention that it really deserves. But so if you want to find Reed's um, highlight layers for the Gen 6 cars, there's a couple ways you can do it. One, you can look through, but who knows how far down it is. I happen to have them on my friends list, so it's easy for me to do it. But if you don't, just go up here, type in Reed's name, and it'll pop up down here, and then just highlight his helmet. Not, this is obviously an old one from '08 here, and then go to forum profile right here. And we're going to go to topics created by Reed. Now we can then go through and find which topics he's created, and it's just an easy way to find it, other than, the search function on the forums isn't, it doesn't search bad, but getting to the point where you hit the search button is kind of a pain in the ass in iRacing. But if you do it this way, you'll find it really quick. He's got a couple posts. I think this is the one he's got them both in. So if you click on this link here, and I'm going to bump this too, so it should be in the top of the general painting forums not long after this video is posted. But here is the one for the Fusion, and we want the one for the updated one that he's done for the Chevrolet, which is here. So if you click on this download button here, it'll ask you where you want to download it. Now, I know in one of my videos I showed you what works for me in setting up separate folders. Again, right click on your desktop, new, create a folder. I've done that for my iRacing templates here. I have it somewhere else, but for these tutorials I have it here. And now that you have that, it makes it easy when it asks you where you want to download this to. And we're going to download, we hit the button, it asks where you want to download it to, and you just browse to it. If you hit your desktop button here, you go to the folder you created for it, and there you go. You can download it right here. You can see I've already done that to save us some time. So you just hit save, and then it'll be in that folder that you downloaded it to. And then to open it, you just go to your folder that you downloaded it to, and you can create other folders in here if you want to clean this up a little bit, but you can see that here's that zip file. It's a compressed file. You just right click, extract here, and what it'll do is it'll create this file. Now again, if it's not a Gimp file, you're going to want to right click, open with, and then choose Gimp if it's here. If it's not, choose default program. If it's not up here, arrow down. It might be down here. If it's not, hit browse and browse to it. Normally it'll be under, programs, computer programs, stuff like that. So, but if you can see how it's a Gimp icon, so it's going to open up in the Gimp template. So we double click on it, we open it up, we're going to move it over to the side here. I got a couple monitors open, so I apologize. You're only going to see the one in the middle here. As a matter of fact, I have to remember that. Let's just shrink this down here because now here's the thing about Gimp that's a little bit different. Again, don't forget Control mouse wheel back is the default shortcut for zooming in and out. Reed's already broke these down into separate folders. He's got one for, and remember, you gotta click on that to get his layers here on the right. If you're here, you're not going to see what he has. You want to click on his window. We can scroll down and see he's got all kinds of stuff. He's put a lot of work into this. Matthew's done the same thing. They do great work. The only problem with Gimp is if I were to take this folder that's got all these highlights in it and move it straight over, it doesn't work with Gimp. I mean, it'll move over, and I'll show you. Remember, hold Control, then grab the metallics folder, move it over, and now we have the folder over here. And it's going to go wherever you were last here, and we wouldn't want it here. We'd want it above, or we want it above our graphics, but below our logos. So now you have the folder here. Let me back out, because there's one thing we forgot I need to tell you about. Reed has done this in the 2048 by 2048. I think he's done it in the 1024 as well, but it really doesn't matter. 2048 is better, and like I explained before, that allows you to keep it in the bigger resolution. So when iRacing goes to 2048, you already have it. You don't have to repaint the cars. And now iRacing allows you to export the cars as 2048, and it automatically downsizes it to 1024 for you. You can save your TGA in 2048 and upload it to Trading Paints as well. The only issue with that is it puts a lot of load on Trading Paints. It's just a bigger file for them. So I would recommend, if you're going to use Trading Paints, just before you save it as 2048, but when you save your TGA, you can either save it as 2048 and do another one at 1024, but really you want to make sure when you upload the Trading Paints to do it by 1024 just to save them from some file space. But make sure you have your template saved as 2048. But for this purpose, what we're going to do is we're going to take our template and we're going to increase this to 2048. Now, if you have a bunch of fine details in here and stuff, and you just increase the whole template from 1024 to 2048, doubling it, it's going to lower the quality a little bit. But we don't have enough here, and for our purposes, we're not worried about it. We're still early in our phase. It's not going to hurt anything, so we're just going to go to Image, because we're messing with the image. Now remember, if you're playing with the layer, you go to Layer. We're playing with the whole image. Go to Image, Scale Image, and we're going to make this 2048, and we're going to leave it like that. We're not going to downsize it anymore unless we upload it to Trading Paints, which we probably won't do with this paint. I always change the resolution. I don't know what effect this has, or if iRacing even recognizes anything bigger than 72, but if they do, I like to make it 96. We hit Scale. You can read that if you want, or hit Scale, and it takes a minute. But what it'll do is it'll make this 2048. It'll be the exact size as Reed's templates. You can also just take Reed's template here and start painting on it if you want. I think I can't remember if he has the wire layer here. Yeah, he makes it real easy. He makes it so it has everything that the iRacing template has, except maybe, I'm not sure if I see some of the other stuff like the contingencies and stuff. So what I've done in the past, and I still have my clean version like I showed you in the other video, set up with Reed's layers already on it. So I just open up my clean. It's got the layers and everything that of Reed's that I like to use. I have my own rear camera that I use, but and my own top camera that I use, but I do use a few of Reed's layers, and they do make the car look just so much better. So now we're at 2048, we're going to grab Reed's. If we grab just a folder here, again, it doesn't work right. For some reason, when these layers here are in a folder, a separate folder, it blends with the image funny. So what you really need to do is move these over individually. And what I recommend is you move these right above your you move these to the top of your graphics folder. And one other thing you need to make sure you do, you see this yellow line here? This is the size of his layer within that template. If we were to just grab this and move this over, hold control and move it over, it's going to move it. If we hold control, it should move it right to the center. But if you just move it, it's weird. So the best thing to do is hold Control Z back out of that. What we're going to do is we're going to make each one of these layers the size of the image. It doesn't increase the picture itself that's in the layer. It just increases the whole layer, all the opaquency, the alpha layers and everything. So you just right click on his rear layer here, alpha to, or you don't have to right click, layer to image size. You can also just hit I once you're in this menu. See the I is underscored. Hit I, and now you see how the yellow went to the whole size. Same thing here. Spoiler. You see how it's only here. Right click, I, or layer to image size, and now it's the same exact size. Right click I, right click I, right click I, and we're only doing some of these highlight layers. This darken, I don't use much, but sometimes it's a good thing to use. Flake layer looks like it's already the right size. Now what we can do is move these over individually, and we only have to do it once, and we can save it. And this is something you should do before you start painting. Again, in my first tutorial, I talk about how to save after you've done main adjustments that you're going to have for every car. You save it and just open that so you don't have to do all that over again. This is one of those things you'd want to add to that. So let's go to the car we're working on. We're going to want the layers to come in here, be in our graphics folder, but above our whatever. It's going to be the top of our graphics folder always. So now we can just move these over, hold control, move over, grab this, hold control, drag over, grab this, hold control, drag over. And let's make sure they're going in the right order too. I think they're going back, yeah, they're the opposite order, so let's just fix this real quick. Actually, we'll click on this so they come above that, I think is what we want. Now the hood should be, yeah, that's what we want. Sorry. Yeah, that's what we want. You can, I'm not so sure it matters too much how these are arranged. So it doesn't really matter that much, but we're going to drag each one of these over real quick. And we only need one of the flakes. I think these are exactly the same, so it doesn't matter too much. So now we can minimize this for now. We're done using it. I just wanted to show you how to move these layers over. And again, play with these until you get the effect you want. Your flake layer, if we turn, and the nice thing about these being split up like Reed has done, is I have found, and I'll show you let's change the base color here. We'll just change it to something like orange, or orange is always a good color, especially with his layers. It really looks good. Remember to click full whole selection, click on the base layer, that's what we're changing. And now you can kind of see the color changes. This is from his darkened layer. And you can adjust these individually so they don't have such a pronounced effect. For example, this would never be... I would change these. If you go up to where it says mode, this is where you're going to play around with them a lot. Darken only, you can change this to like an overlay. And now it doesn't actually change the color. It just makes it a little bit darker so you can see it. It's still there, but it's subtle and it's just about perfect. And you can adjust these, how much it really shows through. But now you can really get a good look and see what this car, with these layers. For example, I like, the default for some of these. What I tend to do though is for the sides. Well, here, let's take a look at this in the sim real quick. So go to File, Export, Documents, iRacing, Paints, and then we can go to the old folder and do it, or we can do it right here where we've been doing it. Remember, old folder is for trading paints. And if you want something to show up in trading paints, you better not have it in here too. If I have a car here in one of these new folders, and then I upload something to trading paints, iRacing recognizes these paints first. So it's not going to, if there's a car in my Chevy stock car here, it's going to read this first, and it's not even going to make it to the older folders where your trading paints is up. So you want to make sure this whole folder is clean if you're having trading paints issues. Um, Double click here, and it would say double click and replace. We exported this. Make sure RLE compression, bottom left, export, and there we go. Now let's take a look at what it looks like in Sim. Hold control, hit R. Okay, so now you can see, excuse me, now you can see the layer effects, the difference it plays. I always found that I adjust it so the side layers, his side metallic layers or highlight layers are a little bit brighter, and I lower the brightness of the wheel well and these hood lines because I think they're a little bit too much for my taste. So let's minimize this real quick. Now we can go and start playing with these. Let's take the one that, like I said, that creates these lines. And if you're not real sure, because it's hard to tell sometimes, if we click on, now you can see, just click on the eyeball and it'll remove it. So now we know it's this one. So that is a little bit too much for me. Overlay and soft light, I think, do the same thing for this purpose. So if we hit soft light, so you're not going to see a difference. Where it makes a difference is over a darker color, I think. But we want to lower that down a little bit. That's a little bit too much. But we want a little bit, about like that. The wheel wells are the same thing. So we go to our wheel well copy. And normally I think I try to get it pretty close to what the hood was. The hood was 30 roughly. So let's make this about 30. Yeah, 30 is too low. We want a little bit higher. Maybe about in there. And now we want the sides a little bit higher, which are, bear with me. Did we not copy them over? I might have missed them. Let's look real quick. That's why you leave this open, right? Sorry, this is, oh yeah, I think I missed the side. Hold control and we'll just move it over. Now, yeah, there's the side, and you can see what a difference that makes. That's a beautiful layer Reed did. And we're just going to lower that down just a little bit. Okay, now because we've already set our export path, all we have to do is hold control, hit E, and this is going to export to the last place it was. We're going to open up our sim, hold control, hit R, and we're going to take a look at the difference. Again, with the color, control 12 gives you your camera options. With the color difference, that looks a lot better to me. I might still be a little bit too bright here. We can back this up, see if we can catch it. Oops, we went too far. See if we can catch it maybe a little bit of a different light. Let's get rid of that crappy decal on the side real quick. Matter of fact, what we'll do is, and this is why you create these in separate layers, so that you can get rid of them later if you don't like them. See, just like a mouse button, and you don't have to worry about that layer no more. Also, I think I want this quarter pounder logo, this quarter pound, excuse me, I'm having a hell of a day. This quarter panel, son of a bitch, quarter panel logo. I don't like it transparent like that, or semi-transparent. I think we're gonna make it, full, so we're just gonna go all the way up, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna make all these layers that Reed gave us invisible. Now this flake layer, you can use it, you don't have to use it. It does help sometimes with the highlights, but let's take all of these off real quick. And if these were in a separate folder, it makes it a lot nicer, but Gimp just does not do that well. This is what it looks like without his layers, okay? Which after using his layers, and by the way, Matthews are just as good. Matthew does them for different cars though. But for the Gen 6, Reed's done a great job. Tim's done some great work with different front-end decals for the street stock and some other stuff. And again, I know I'm forgetting people, but so let's take a look at this with no additional layers from some of our great contributors. Control E goes to the last place you saved it, which is in the right folder to view it. Control R refreshes it. Okay, this is what it looks like without any of his layers on it, alright? Take a good look. Let's minimize it. We'll turn his layers on again real quick. And again, you can adjust these individually. We'll leave the flake layer off. Control E, export it, open it up. Now, this is what it looks like before his layers, and Control R, that's what it looks like after his layers. And again, maybe that's not the perfect adjustment or individual adjustment for those, but you can really see a difference. Now, let's show this flake layer. Let's click that on. He has it default to multiply. Multiply works good if you run a really dark, grainy look. You could also duplicate. Another thing that I like to do if I'm looking for, I like the multiply look, but it's a little bit too dark for me. Right click, duplicate this layer. It gets real dark, but change this from multiply, the new layer that you did, to soft light, and see what that does. Now it gives it more of a grainy look, but it makes it a little bit different than what it was before. That's just multiply. That's with the additional soft light over it. It just depends on what you're looking for. Control E. Get back into here. Hold Control, hit R. And that's what it looks like with layer. And you can soften those way up so that the orange is quite a bit brighter, or you can make the orange brighter. So I still wouldn't be quite happy with that. I like this. If we just change the one flake to overlay, you're not going to see a lot of it, but you can really bump that up. And just that little bit of flake really makes those highlight layers that he did stand out. And you can see how bright this is going to be. I actually like this. Again, the sides might be a little bit too much for me. Let's just drop those down a little bit. Maybe, you know, you just got to play with them until you get where you feel like you're comfortable with it. The top is a little bit too much. And did I? Oh, no, here it is right here. For me, for my likes. So we'll just drop that down just a little bit. And, you know, that's not bad. So let's hit, and you can take this. We got 100% overlay. Let's duplicate this and see what it looks like. Yeah, that's probably too much. Let's make this a multiply. Move it below the other one. Make this a multiply. And let's drop this way down. Now here's what just the one above it, the overlay at 100%. And we'll just move this up a little bit with a multiply just to give it a little bit of a different look. Something maybe in there. Control E. Open this up. Hold Control, hit R. Yeah, you know, that's a pretty car. I mean, those layers just, I just can't stress enough how much of a difference they make, in my opinion. And again, these are Reed Rundell's layers. Matthew Nethercote has such great layers. They were made into a sticky by the iRacing guys, which is a testament to that. So, you know, that looks really good. And I'm talking specifically just to the highlights. And I'm going to show you one other thing you can do. You come down here. Let's just change the base color. Now, if we change it to white, you're not going to see those highlights. Unless we can adjust these highlights from overlay to normal. And then you can change the color of the highlight, but really for white, you're not going to see the highlight, and it's not something that you should worry about too much. So let's change this to something like maybe a a sharp blue. Sorry, I'm doing all this on my other monitor. I keep forgetting you guys can't see that. I don't know, something like maybe I don't know if that's a Jimmy Johnson blue or not. I'd have to look real close, but um, I'm not quite sure what I did to screw all that up. Let's back out a couple spots. I think because let's go forward in one spot. Control Y to go forward. You should still see those highlight layers, and I'm not sure why we're not seeing them right now. I did something goofy. Or it's just because of the, oh, I changed that to normal. Let me look at something. I'm sorry for the hold up. There's something goofy going on. Let's just grab that one. Okay, you see them. It has nothing to do with the highlights. It's just that because of the color, you got to play with them a little bit more. Yeah, you can see them a little bit. So we would take the side one and move it up. And now you can kind of see it. It's an overlay. If you made it normal, it would make it it's way too much. So for a darker color, you're going to want to change it from soft light or overlay to normal and then just bring it down here. So now you can kind of see that. The flake is going to be the same thing. Overlay is still going to be probably multiply is what we're going to want here instead for this color. There we go. And now you can kind of see it a little bit better. So all of these would have to be adjusted for that color. It doesn't matter whether it's on overlay. Soft light isn't going to change it. It's going to have to be to normal or multiply or something to that effect because of the color we're using. So we turn that up a little bit. And you can go through each one of these and do that. This one's not too bad. And because we don't like that real high anyway, we can just use the overlay. I'm a little confused as to why it's doing that with that color. I don't remember it having to be changed that much. I don't know if it has something to do with somewhere I made a mistake. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe it's just the color. So overlay, normal, and what did we miss? The wheel wells, normal. No, those have to be turned way down. Just to something where it still gives that highlight. The flake, we're going to want to turn the flake on here. And we can increase this quite a bit. You know, if we have the flake way up, actually, you can probably change these back to overlay. And then be able to see them. Because they're on top of that flake. Yeah, you can see a big difference. So it really just comes down to playing around with all of these. This color would be good, like if we do what we just did. Let's go back to overlay, and we'll move these up. Oops. Yeah, now it's really starting to pop. So that flake layer makes a big difference, even if you're not looking for a flake. Even if you're just using it to highlight the highlights. It's a good option. These are all fine because they were left where they were at. The wheel wells, we'll take these back to overlay. We'll move these up. And if we want a little brighter blue, but we want to use the method we're using, all we've got to do is brighten this blue up a little bit. Or lighten it up. Whatever. You can adjust these colors however you want. Now let's take a look at this. Control E. Alright. Back to our sim. Hold the button, hold control, hit R. And there you have it with the highlights. And it really does look good. Again, Reed's done an awesome job with these, Matthew, Tim. several others. And again, I apologize if I missed your name. I really am sorry. It's not like I don't know who you are or don't appreciate what you've done for the community. It's just apparently I'm a little my melon's a little squashed today. So all right, well I think that's going to be it. This was just a short tutorial that I decided to make long for this example of how to move these um, highlights over into your Gimp layers. All right, thanks a lot. Happy painting.